Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Energize Delaware Live. Happy Thursday, and I am beyond excited this Thursday because, as you can see, I have a very distinguished guest with me. But before I jump into that, I'd like to first tell you just a little bit about Energize Delaware. So, for anyone that is tuning in for the first time, welcome. And thank you. And for everyone else, hi, friends and family. Thanks for coming back. So Energize Delaware is a nonprofit organization, and we've got over 16 programs all around energy efficiency. So as you can guess, on today, we are talking energy. And with a lot of new words that are swarming around in Delaware, including the words clean vehicle and solar and climate action plan, we thought it was a really good idea to have a conversation with one of our officials straight from the head of state that could tell us more about this. So with that being said, I want to say welcome to my guest on today, our Lieutenant Governor, Bethany Hall Long.
Well, hello. Well, it's great to be with you, Angie. I love the opportunity anytime I can talk with you at Energize Delaware and have the privilege, of serving on your advisory board for empowerment grants. I've just jumped at the chance to be with you.
Awesome. And we appreciate that so much. So before we jump right into energy and begin to ask the Lieutenant Governor some questions here, I do want to point out a few awesome facts about the Lieutenant Governor that I learned in preparation for this. First and foremost, she is a Sussex County native. And the reason I get excited is me too. So I like being able to say great things come out of Sussex County. Sorry, Canton, Newcastle. But along with that, she's also got a background in nursing. And while we're talking about energy today, healthcare and nursing also go hand in hand with energy. So I just wanted to also make mention that she's got over 20 years experience with UD and has a distinguished record there. Now, if I haven't bragged about her enough, this is also her second term with Delaware. Whoop, whoop. And we love that. So enough bragging on the Lieutenant Governor. I will allow her to spend the rest of the time bragging on herself. But we're going to kick off a few questions here so that we can hear some more. So first question I have for you, a little bit more on a personal note, right? Before we get into all the efficient stuff. How important are the matters of climate change and energy conservation to you?
Really important. So first, Angie, thank you for that kind introduction. And yes, as a Sussex farm girl, it is intertwined into my being. The soil under my feet that had me to grow up has led me to put environmental health, environmental justice, and the environment at the top tier. And, it is so important to everyone, not only here on our community, but as the chair of the National Lieutenant Governor Association, across America, climate, environmental safety, environmental justice, clean water, clean air, and what you're doing with home performance and empowering us to make sure that we are using our equipment and utilities efficiently and effectively. And it's a cold, chilly day, everything from what you do with grants from windows to lighting. I love it. And to me personally, it's what we can go forward with. We get one shot at this, folks. We get one earth, one world, one community. And as a mother, I want to make sure that I leave this place better than I did for my son, than what came to me. And so I just believe in this. I wouldn't miss the chance to have a few minutes of conversation with you. And thank you for your passion. You also are, a very energizing woman, and we appreciate your leadership as well.
Well, thank you. Look, women supporting women and energy all the way.
Yep.
Well, thank you. You touched on a few things there, but as an elected official, tell me more about some of the things that you've been involved in the past, some of the initiatives you've led or supported.
Well, there's a lot that we can do. When you talk about energy and efficiency, we certainly know we're hearing a lot these days about ARPA funds and broadband and infrastructure and utility lines and poles. That's all really important, and we have to have those things. And obviously in healthcare, right now I have students who are in hospitals and ICUs and EDs where everything is dependent upon energy and utilities. However, We also know our behaviors and what we have in our home, clean water, clean air, radon, and other factors influence our health, which ultimately influences our economy, which influences insurance and everything. So I have spent 6 years I had in the House, 9 in the Senate, and you're correct, in my second term, 5 years now as lieutenant governor, really literally focused a lot on those issues that we can impact. Some are long term, and it takes a while. Sometimes the things that we do today will have consequences. And let's face it, we all know with climate change, look at us, in December across America, we had storms that were unconventional. And it's because of the climate change. Really important. And there's factors that we can actually do. And so, again, lots of priorities, but I'll give you just a couple. Right? I'm not going to talk forever because in my time in the legislature, I did sponsor over 1,000 bills, and a large significant portion of those were around health and the environment, environmental justice. I do want to say, serving on the Community Involvement Advisory Council, which dealt a lot with the Energize Delaware views and passions, I had the opportunity firsthand to see the inequities across our state. And so making sure we were getting clean water, getting clean air, cleaning out radon in those communities of color or our lower socioeconomic status to get them the tools they need. And just like Energize Delaware does, I was a real proponent, both on a bond committee and others, to make sure you had the funds and the resources to make sure people could get the insulation they needed, the windows that they needed, the things for home performance, but also for their physical well-being. Radon is the #2 cause of lung cancer, not just cigarette smoking. And so we did legislative changes, not real sexy, doesn't make the headlines, but will affect the well-being of our state. And so now whenever a home is sold, and this has been going on now for probably 15 years now or more, the realtors make sure people are cognizant, that they're aware when they purchase a home, because we know radon can cause more cancer. We also know that we have done a lot around clean water. Right now with ARPA funds, we're doing infrastructure money for our drinking water. #1 issue, lead abatement. When I was a new member in the House, it took me 3 years, but I fought really hard to get an occupational health unit in public health, Healthy Homes Initiative. Again, all of these things take time, and they're not done alone. There's no I in team. It is a team effort, and that's why your listening audience needs to be working with Energize Delaware, whether participating with the organization, writing letters, sending emails, picking up the phone, talking to town elected officials, right? A lot of them control drinking water as well in partnership with our state, or whatever initiative you might be wanting to work with collectively, such as with organizations as Energize Delaware, you can make a difference. We're all human, and we all need to have clean air, clean water, because it does have an issue on something known as body burden. And I'll spare you there. As a professor in nursing, I teach a lot in occupational health and environmental health. And if you ever look up body burden and look at some of the data and the studies across America, the Johns Hopkins Center and others, you will be amazed at everything from your cleaning compounds to mothballs to all kinds of exposures, things you can do in the home. But most importantly, there's a lot you can do that doesn't cost a lot that you can do to conserve, whether recycling or whether it's a matter of just rechanging how you insulate, how you set your thermometer in the home, what kind of water heater you have. I mean, you name it, Angie's got it.
Well, she's just got me blushing right now because I'm like, I say all those same things. No, but thank you so much. Great information. And I am going to look up body burden. First time I've heard that term, but definitely
Please
sounds
look
like
up body burden, because February is National Radon Month. And radon is a gas that's in a lot of clay soil. Delaware has a lot of clay soil. And if you happen to be a cigarette smoker and have exposure whether to radon and other cancers, you're 4 times likely, carcinogens, I should say, not cancers, you're 4 times likely to develop a specific lung cancer known as mesothelioma. And so, folks, there's things we can do not only for our pocketbook, saving money, but also our health and for our future with our children. So our landfills aren't full. So we don't have these crazy tornadoes and twisters and floods in January, in December, because of the extremes in temperature.
Amen. No, I agree completely. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yes. Now you mentioned children. So I want to segue from the children right into our young females and STEM careers. So I know that you actually have a passion, much like myself, for working with teen girls. So with that, what are some of the things that you do to encourage other females to enter into STEM careers?
Well, first, before I forget, March 24th this year, we are celebrating Women in STEM. And we'll have to get you the information, and you can share that to those who are listening in for the details. We'll be doing that with the governor, and we're recognizing women in science, technology, engineering, and math. Science, technology, engineering, and math. And I do throw in the A for the arts because that does help. So sometimes it's STEAM along with STEM. But right now, we have only 52% of women have a college degree. And again, college education isn't the be all end all. Sometimes our careers and entrepreneurship and being a small business owner is great. But what's alarming to me as a professor of nursing and also in urban affairs at the University of Delaware for almost 25 years now, I have seen more often engineering and IT and other forms of science, women have not been as eager to enter. More women are becoming physicians, and we've always seen nursing, of course, was a female-driven populist career. But we need more women in the IT, in the engineering, in the math, where there's clean drinking water, where it's our air, whether we're looking at scientific long-term studies in chemistry and our body exposure. Because right now, only 29% of women are in STEM. So shame on us. We've got to do better. And when you break that down, in particular for women of color, it's even a lower number. Only 9% of African-American women and 7% of Hispanics. So again, according to Pew Charitable Trust, a group that I've worked closely with in my lane with behavioral and mental health, which is a whole other subject for a whole other day. It's really important that we get more women involved doing the bench science, doing the air studies, doing the education in the community, whether, again, it's from our agriculture, our Department of Resources, our biology and DENREC lab. We know COVID right now is an infectious agent. It's a viral agent. But ladies, we need scientists to be studying at the bench. Sometimes it may be a biologic terrorist issue, and that ties all into the environment. So women, roll up your sleeves, and to the guys who are already there, we're going to keep facilitating you. Please look at the STEM career and consider how you might play a role with, Energize Delaware in advancing a clean and healthy environment and home in Delaware communities.
Definitely give me that information. We will be glad to share that. And I'm with you. We want to promote. That is something I myself rarely see in this field, is other females, let alone other females of color, as you mentioned. But let's do something about it. So glad to support those efforts there. So one of the last questions I want to ask you today is, what are some of the ways, and you touched on some earlier, so you might be reiterating them again, but what are some ways that Delawareans can support either the efforts of your office or the efforts of the Climate Action Plan?
Well, there's a number of different ways. And again, some are more easy than others to follow. And before I slip away from the STEM, I do want to mention for the listening audience, there is an organization in Delaware with educators. There's a STEM council. The group that I get to have the honor of facilitating is Million Women Mentors. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been the chair. I don't know if I mentioned, but I know it's somewhere written down. You'll see I've chaired the National Lieutenant Governor Association, and all of us are trying to look at best practices to have clean air, clean water, high utilization of solar and alternative energies. And so some of the things we can do is, one of the simplest is recycling. Believe it or not, I live currently in Middletown. Was born and raised in Sussex, but live here. And I was the first person a long bit ago whose house began to do curbside recycling. I'm very much into being cognizant and aware of my energy systems, my heat and water, and the systems that I use in the house. And it's a little contemporary now. It's up to date that people think about electric vehicles. I've been driving a hybrid car for over a decade, where, we can save on carbon fumes. We also save on our dollars without having to put as much gas in their tanks. And those are little things. Now, not everybody can afford all of those things. So that's why it's important to work with Energize Delaware, because, folks, you may be eligible for support and grants. from your vehicles, right, to your home, to the lighting. I live in a house with a husband who was military and computers and science driven. So my whole house, I have not had a traditional light bulb. I guarantee at least a decade or more. I mean, like as soon as all these things came out, hybrid car, lighting, he was able to think of it. I know though sometimes it's a struggle. I was born and raised as the first person in my family to go to college. I know it can be tough. And even for families and friends and others who have a challenge on meeting their basic needs each month with food, trust me, if you do these things in your home for energy efficiency and support working with Energize Delaware, you can save on your bill and you'll have extra cash in your pocket. It will pay off. And there are support mechanisms for grants and programs. And there it is, home performance with Energy Star program. Call 877-524-1339. So make sure to call the Energize Delaware. And again, if you haven't had a chance, we have a climate. See the pretty picture? We have the Delaware Climate Action Plan. And there's a role for everyone. This is phenomenal for our grandparents to our littlest ones, our pre-K can have a role here in cleaning up our environment, making sure that we are using the best forms of energy possible. And it's simple, teaching at a young age to recycle, to not litter, to not leave the windows open with the air condition running in the hot summer, to looking at conservation measures. You get that with kids, I know. Or the heat, don't turn your heat all the way up, like have it set at a certain level. But again, all of these things come back to affect us. And as Angie just learned today, when I talked about a phrase called body burden, I have seen that where carcinogens and cancer and other things from our environment and pollutants really matter. And so we all do just a little bit more. And thanks to Energize Delaware, I think we're doing a great job at really being successful in addressing energy and utilities.
Agreed. Now, for anyone that has heard something said today or wants to take part and jump into something going on with your office or with the Climate Action Plan, how can someone get in touch with the Lieutenant Governor's office?
It's easy. You can dial 302-577-8787, 302-577-8787. Or my name is so easy to remember. Think about the beach. Bethany.hall-long, make sure it's a dash, Bethany.hall-long at Delaware, spell it out, Delaware.gov. And I would highly encourage you, whether you are a faith-based leader in a Sunday school or a synagogue or a church, or if you're a school teacher looking at a science curriculum, or you're just a grandmom at home taking care of kids or a child care provider, take a look at our action plan. It will address really important issues and things you can do in conservation. It also talks about increased temperatures. It talks about sea level rise. Delaware's the flattest state in America. So we know, myself, you, Angie, from Sussex, we know that there's an increased risk for flooding. So there's a real need to do these things. And we really have worked hard with agriculture to make sure with our runoff and pollutants. We're working hard with even landscaping and golf facilities to make sure that we have the best utilization of water management. And it's things we take for granted often. And so step back a moment, from the time you put your foot on the ground, you go brush your teeth, you take a shower, you have breakfast, you turn the coffee pot on, you get in your car, you're driving. Every place you go, every place you step has an environmental or an energy component almost to it. And we just take it for granted. So as we walk this walk together, I want to thank Energize Delaware because I'm just so honored to be on your empowerment advisory board. I'm thrilled with the work you're doing. And if you guys haven't used them, please use Angie, use the Delaware, the Energize Delaware, because they really are accessible, a lot of free service, a lot of great ideas. And I just wouldn't miss being here today and just wanted to thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough to know that we have the support of the government for everything that's being done at Energize Delaware, along with just having a government that cares. And
Well, you got it. You got it. Very, very important, and happy to do it. And I was proud to show we did an op-ed, I did with folks. There's Joe Biden in the electric vehicle. We were talking about public health. So again, it starts not only from the national level, all the way down to the local, into your home, on your doorstep. That's where the most rubber hits the road.
That is the truth. So you heard it here, everybody. Straight from the Lieutenant Governor's mouth. It starts with you. There is something you can do. If you want to be more energy efficient, feel free to reach out to us. If you want to be more involved in energy policies and the climate action plan, feel free to reach out to the Lieutenant Governor's office. Otherwise, I just want to say again, thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor Hall Long, for coming on today, for sharing so much great information, and not just sharing, but actually caring.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome. And to our audience, don't let this be your first or last time tuning in. Come back again. Lieutenant Governor actually set a perfect stage, because the next few months, we're going to be going into some other programs that are available here in this state. So maybe you have a church that could use an energy audit. Maybe you could use some new lighting in your home. We've got a lot of great stuff that we're going to be talking about throughout this year. So keep tuning in every first and third Thursday, right at 2:00, for another topic. And one more time, I want to thank our audience and encourage everyone to tune in again next week. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes. Until next time, have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.